No one could suspect who he really was. That was the whole point of the test, a test of humanity, of humility, and of truth. He needed to know if kindness still lived in people's hearts when there was nothing to gain. Stepping outside, he felt the weight of judgment already pressing on him. People glanced at him with pity, some with disgust. He didn't care. Every step took him further from comfort and deeper into reality. For once, he wasn't the respected man they all admired. Today, he was just another wanderer, dirty, hungry, and forgotten. And so, the disguise became his truth. The game had begun. The streets were alive with the usual morning chaos, hawkers shouting prices, children running barefoot, buses honking impatiently. He walked among them like a shadow, clutching the old sack slung over his shoulder. Inside, there was nothing but a tattered blanket, a rusty spoon, and a single bottle of water. To anyone watching, he was just another broken man trying to survive. Go and beg somewhere else. He swallowed his pride and walked away. Each rejection stung like a whip, but he reminded himself of the purpose. He wasn't here to live in comfort, he was here to see the truth about people's hearts. As he wandered deeper into the market, he tried again. A fruit vendor. A young woman selling roasted corn. A tea stand. Each time, he got the same answer. Asterisk no money, no food. Get lost. Asterisk some even cursed him for coming too close to their goods, as if his rags carried a disease. Hours passed. His legs ached, and his throat felt like sandpaper. He sat under a tree, wiping sweat from his brow. For the first time, doubt crept in. Asterisk maybe this was a mistake. Maybe people had changed. Asterisk but no, he couldn't give up. Not yet. He stood up and moved toward a busy street where cars roared past. Please, anything you can spare, he whispered. People walked by without a glance. Some covered their noses, others muttered insults. A child threw a pebble at him, laughing when it hit his shoulder. He wanted to shout, to reveal who he was, but that would end the test. So he endured. Then came the moment that tested him more than hunger or thirst. A man in a fine suit stopped and stared at him. For a heartbeat, he thought kindness had arrived. But the man sneered and said loudly, "This is what happens when you refuse to work. Lazy fool." The crowd laughed. Some clapped. The man dropped a crumpled paper into his lap. Not money, but garbage. His fists clenched. His heart burned. But instead of anger, he chose silence. He picked up the trash, placed it beside him, and looked away. This was not about revenge. This was about understanding. His hair tangled like dry weeds. He walked through the market, desperate for food, when he saw a half-eaten piece of yam lying by a trash can. He bent down to pick it up. "Hey! Stop that!" a voice shouted. Before he could react, a heavy stick slammed against his back. Pain shot through him as he stumbled forward. The yam rolled away. "You dirty madman!" the owner of the stick yelled, an older trader with veins bulging in his neck. Others gathered quickly, their faces twisted with disgust. "What is wrong with you people?" another woman screamed. "Eating from the ground like an animal? Go back to the bush where you belong." Someone threw a stone. It struck his arm. Then another. Laughter erupted like fire, cruel and sharp. "I'm not mad," he whispered, but his voice was drowned by their jeers. "Madman," they chorused. "Get out of here." They chased him down the street, children running behind, mocking him with songs. A teenage boy grabbed a bucket of dirty water and splashed it on him. The cold stung his skin, but the humiliation burned deeper. He ran until his legs gave way, collapsing behind an abandoned stall. His chest heaved, tears mixing with the filth on his face. Is this what the world has become? He thought. Has compassion died completely? He wanted to scream, to tear off the disguise and show them the truth. But no, that would defeat everything. This pain, this shame, it was part of the test. The third day dawned grey and cold. His body ached from the beatings, and his stomach gnawed with hunger. He walked slowly along the riverside, his steps heavy, his eyes dull. For the first time since the test began, he felt close to breaking. That's when he smelled it, the rich aroma of smoked fish. It drifted through the morning air like a gentle hand guiding him forward. He followed it to a small wooden table where a woman sat arranging fish in neat rows. Her wrapper was faded, her hair tied back, and her hands moved quickly as customers bargained with her. He stood a few feet away, watching, hesitant. She'll chase me away too, he thought. Still, hunger pushed him closer. When the last customer left, he stepped forward. "Madam, please. I've not eaten in 3 days," he said softly. His voice trembled, not from fear, but weakness. The woman looked up. Her eyes scanned his ragged clothes, his bruised arms, his dirt-streaked face. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, without a word, she reached for 2 pieces of fish and wrapped them in a leaf. "Take," she said simply, handing it to him. He stared, stunned. I have no money." "Did I ask for money?" she replied, her tone firm but kind. "Eat before you faint on my table." He took the fish with shaking hands, tears blurring his vision. He whispered, thank you so much." He smiled faintly and said, "You'll see." He turned and walked away, disappearing down the path. The woman shrugged and went back to her work, never knowing what was coming. The woman's mouth fell open. He stopped in front of her and smiled warmly. "You didn't know who I was," he said gently, "yet you fed me when I had nothing." Tears welled in her eyes. "My son," she whispered, "I only did what God would want." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick bundle of cash, more money than she had ever seen in her life. He placed it in her trembling hands. "Take this," he said. "Your kindness will never be forgotten." Then, to the shock of everyone, he ordered his men to buy every fish he had, and he gave them away free to the crowd gathering around. People gasped, some falling to their knees in shame, remembering how they had mocked and beaten him. The woman sobbed, her hands shaking as she clutched the money. He looked at her one last time and said softly, "One act of kindness can change a life, and sometimes, the world." And with that, he walked back to his car, leaving behind a riverbank full of humbled hearts, and a story no one would ever forget.